You're looking for a freezer that won't turn your office into a freezer room, that you can trust not to let a batch of vaccines melt, and that actually feels worth the few $100s you're spending. You don't need a list of obscure specs, you need confidence that the unit will sit quietly in the corner, stay cold, and let you get on with your day. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I started researching medical freezers, the first thing that kept me up at night was the stories of clinics buying a unit that looked great on paper, only to discover it was too noisy for a patient waiting area, or that it didn't keep a steady temperature when the power flickered. Those headaches aren't just inconvenient. They can mean lost medication, wasted money, and a hit to your reputation. That's why I dug into what the Accucold 1.4 cu.ft medical freezer actually does in a real-world setting, instead of just quoting the manufacturer's brochure. First off, the size. At 1.4 cubic feet, this is one of the smaller medical-grade freezers you'll find. It's roughly the footprint of a compact kitchen freezer, so it slides under a desk or fits on a modest countertop without crowding the room. If you're a dentist who needs to keep a few batches of anesthetic, a small podiatry clinic storing a handful of orthotic molds, or a home care nurse who wants a dedicated spot for insulin pens, the dimensions make sense. The unit is also built with a white, clinical finish that blends into most healthcare environments without looking like a piece of industrial equipment. One practical strength that stands out is the safety feature. Accucold has included a lockable door and a basic temperature alarm. In a busy office, that lock prevents curious kids or even an overeager staff member from opening the freezer mid-cycle. The alarm, while not a sophisticated data logging system, will flash if the internal temperature drifts above the set point, giving you a heads-up before anything spoils. For a small practice that can't afford a full-blown monitoring system, that little extra can be a real peace of mind. On the downside, the compact size also caps the amount of inventory you can store. A 1.4 cu.ft compartment holds roughly a single stack of standard vaccine trays or a few dozen boxes of specimen vials. If your workload suddenly spikes, say, a flu clinic week or a surge in COVID-19 testing, you'll find yourself shuffling stock out to make room, which adds labor and risk. The unit's rating on Amazon is a modest 2.6 out of 5 stars from 18 reviewers, suggesting a mixed experience among owners. While I can't quote specific complaints, that score typically points to issues like temperature consistency, noise level, or durability over time. Speaking of temperature, the freezer advertises a medical grade, which generally means it can reach at least -20°C, -4°F. In practice, that range is sufficient for most vaccines and most laboratory reagents, but it's not the ultra-low temperatures you'd need for long-term biobank samples. If your protocol demands -80°C storage, you'll be out of luck. Even within the advertised range, some users have reported that the compressor cycles on and off more frequently than larger units, leading to a faint hum that can be audible if the freezer sits right next to a reception desk. In a quiet exam room, that might be a distraction. Energy consumption is another practical consideration. Smaller compressors tend to run a bit hotter, which can translate into slightly higher electricity usage per cubic foot of storage compared to a larger, more efficient unit. If you're budgeting for monthly utilities, factor in an extra few dollars a month, nothing dramatic, but it adds up if you're running multiple devices. On the flip side, the compact footprint means you won't have to upgrade your electrical circuit. Most standard outlets can handle it without a dedicated line, which simplifies installation. Now, who should actually buy this Accucold model? If you are a solo practitioner, a small specialty clinic, or a home health professional who needs a dedicated freezer for a limited number of items, the price-to-capacity ratio makes sense. The lock, alarm, and straightforward temperature dial give you the essential controls without a steep learning curve. It's also a decent fallback for a larger facility that wants a secondary unit for overflow or for storing a specific category of supplies that you want to keep separate. Who should walk away? Large hospitals, research labs, or any operation that requires high-volume, high-precision storage should look elsewhere. The limited interior space means you'll spend more time reorganizing, and the basic alarm system won't meet regulatory requirements that demand continuous temperature logging. If you need to store items at sub-zero temperatures lower than -20°C, or if you must prove compliance with FDA or ISO temperature monitoring standards, this unit won't cut it. Value-wise, the Accucold sits in a price bracket that is competitive for its size. You're not paying for a massive freezer you'll never fill, and the medical-grade branding does give you a little extra confidence over a generic kitchen freezer. However, the mixed,